you've already started incorporating AI into your workflow.
Yeah.
Already, you've got AI in your camera, right? You've got AI for your calling. You've got AI for your editing. What does the future of AI in photography look like to you?
I think, and actually one of my friends, Antonio, who works for me as a second shooter, he's also a writer for a website called The Verge. It's like a tech website. And him and I have these conversations all the time. Like since we were going all the way, we met each other in like 2007 at college. And ever since then, we've kind of been a little nerdy and stuff. And I don't mind. I'm proud of it. I love the conversations him and I have.
Same here.
But yeah, we talk all the time about things like you just asked. And I think the next step for photography is going to be having some of the features that are, and I've seen in certain comment sections and articles and stuff, which can be pretty toxic places anyways. There's been some resistance against this, or like, oh, like I wouldn't buy a $6,000 camera if it was doing stuff that my iPhone does. I want my camera to be my camera. But I think the next step is some of the computational photography type things that iPhones, smartphones do. Like, one thing I've heard complaints about, it's kind of become a problem, is I have a friend who's a photographer in Florida, and she actually had a client who was complaining, I think, unrightfully, and they were wrong actually, but like, my maid of honor was there and she was taking pictures on her phone at the beach, and like her sky has more color in it, and the pictures on the phone were just darker. I saw them, but the point is that the computational photography algorithms in iPhones that can take several pictures quickly as a HDR and stack them and have it look natural, like having detail in the sky on a backlit scenario, like scene, or foreground detail in a situation like that. It's just I think skin smoothing, some of the AI things that we're seeing in Photoshop and Lightroom now, like subject selection, sky selection, neural filters, like you were talking about earlier with the colorizing old black and white photos, things like that. Yeah, I think the computational aspect of photography, it's going to be interesting to see if companies like Sony will start implementing more of that, and wonder what the processing power might need to be for the cameras to be able to do things like that. But I think they'll have to, because the iPhone, again, yes, it's limited by having a smaller sensor and of course lens selection, but honestly, for anything that's not a major event, like I'm bringing my iPhone. Like if I want to, you know what, in general, I'll just use my iPhone for things out and about, but because the picture quality is very good. But I did bring my A1 and a 135 1.8 to the dog park the other day, so I'm still kind of that guy with the camera sometimes. But I think computational photography and AI in cameras is going to be one of the next steps. I mean, there's some things like you mentioned before, like face detection in cameras. From what I understand, some of the cameras actually can learn. Like, for example, on my Sony cameras, I can take a picture of a couple at the beginning of their wedding and program that into the camera to use those faces as the priority when...
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's... So things like that, making things like that more... I mean, most people that shoot Sony probably don't even know that, but it is a feature. But making things like that mainstream, and, in order to keep justifying the cost for some of these cameras, they are going to have to be a bit more advanced in that nature, or, any kind of exposure blending or stacking as part of the future. On the editing side, I think, everything we've talked about in terms of some of the standalone softwares like imagen-ai and Aftershoot, but also, Adobe, I think what they implemented in the Lightroom lately with the subject masking and sky masking is great. It works fantastically. It's perfect, but I think it was long overdue. I mean, Lightroom had really suffered from that for quite a while. I mean, I think still some of the retouching, like I think the next big thing to be addressed in Lightroom is going to be cloning and healing, because it's just not very good right now. I mean, we can all find ways. I think even during the live stream, I did clone out like a tree branch or something quickly in Lightroom. Did. But
it could definitely use some content aware features in Lightroom.